What is up, my Lorcana Goons? Welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. My name is Kevin, and in this video, we're going to go over the best decks for you to take to set championships that are starting this weekend, the first weekend of July. We got a little bit of everything for all players alike, so if you like this content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you yourself are a Lorcana Goon, because it does support the channel. And first up, I want to go over Emerald Amethyst, because I think this is a sleeper deck. We know the Emerald package is very powerful. By this point in the game, you should know what it does. I have a list from first place, the Tap and Roll 1K here by Eric. Shouch, look at this list. He's playing some cards we're not necessarily used to seeing in this current meta, like Rafiki. There's 2 copies in there. You want to play Cursed Merfolk and Pegasus for your early game along with Flynn Rider. This deck is nice because it has that early discard package, but you don't need to necessarily capitalize on that by playing extra cards like Fringe John or anything. You can just gain the 2 lore in the beginning of the game and start bouncing it back with Snake and Fox if you need to be a little more quick with it, right? Then you also have Ursula Deceiver to snipe cards out of the opponent's hands. We have Friends on the other side, and Rabbit and Castle, so you can draw cards later on in the game, which is nice. This list is playing 2 Cricky. I think Cricky is a very powerful card in Emerald right now. It's a 5-cost character, lets you quest for 3, which is very strong in my opinion. And when you play this character, all characters you control gain +3 strength. Now, most of the time you're probably not swinging into characters with this deck, but there are situations where you need to make either good trades or you need to clear castles. So Cricky will let you do that. And then we have 4 of each Pegasus. We got 2 we don't talk about Bruno, and this is probably my favorite card from this deck. It's the Ursula Sea Witch Queen. So you do have the shiftable Ursula target for your 2-drop Ursula Deceiver. We're not playing Deceiver of all because we're not playing the Sudden Chill package in this variant. We are playing stuff like Merlin Crab and Madam M Fox instead, though. This list looking very similar to the second place list from the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Chicago, piloted by Jordan Moore. Very similar. The biggest difference is maybe the 1-drops in the beginning. It looks like you're playing Chernobog Followers, less copies of the Shift Pegasus, but you're still playing 4 of the 1-drop Pegasus. Both lists playing Jock actually over here. So maybe Jock is a card that you guys want to explore when playing Emerald this format, or if you're at championships. Jock says when you play this character, chosen opposing character gains Reckless during their turn. So that's kind of nice if you need to stop a Diablo. Maybe you can give an opponent's Diablo Reckless, and now they have to challenge into your Cloud Kicker or your Snake or something like that, right? That's not a bad play. You could also use this against a couple of other characters that might be problematic on the board, right? Jordan's list is playing 2 of the Tinkerbell most helpful. This character gives one of your other characters evasive, so that's another way to clear Diablos in the mirror match. We have Mother Knows Best. We have Queen's Castle, which is just honestly one of the best cards in Amethyst right now. So I feel like Emerald Amethyst is like a sleeper deck. A lot of people are not really playing this format for whatever reason, and I do think that this deck deserves to be like in the tier 1 spot. It's just kind of hard to pilot. For Emerald Amethyst, I think we're going to want to take a more aggressive approach in the early game and try and close it out with our goats in the late game. So let's say we don't know what we're playing against. I do want to have some early game stuff that's aggressive, like Cursed Merfolk as a 1-drop, so we're keeping that for sure. I don't think we need 2 of the Ursula Deceiver unless we know we're playing against an Emerald mirror match, and we can even afford to get rid of the Cloud Kicker, I think, because we're probably going to play Diablo on 3 anyways, and I really want to see maybe a Diablo shift. And I think that's good. I think maybe we can even get rid of this too, but I like the ink, so I'm gonna keep it as ink. If anything, we'll do that. We'll keep the Cloud Kicker just in case. We ended up with 2 kits actually, which is interesting. So we got rid of 1 kit. We'll play the Curse of Merfolk like we said, and then we pass to our opponent. They're gonna ink a Tamatoa So Shining, so now we know we're playing against Sapphire, which is really good because that means a lot of our cards are gonna be live. We don't talk about Bruno in this matchup, at least not anytime soon, so we'll use that as ink. We'll play the Ursula. Look at their hand. No songs. They have 3 Flavorsham, 2 Medusa, and a Maui. They are going to be struggling to play some cards for a cool minute. So we're going to hit them with the Quest 2 and then just pass for turn. On their turn, they're going to ink a Maui and pass because they didn't have anything to do. It's our turn again, and just like we said, we're not going to use the Cloud Kicker against this matchup anymore. Well, now we know we're playing against a Ruby Sapphire, so Cloud Kicker is not that good against this matchup, so we can use that for ink. We can quest for 3 because now our Merfolk and our Ursula are just going in. We're trying to get as much value out of these characters as possible while we have the board presence. He's going to ink a card, ink a Flavorsham, play a Brawl on my Diablo. That hurts. But we're still in this game because he hit the Diablo, which means he did not use Brawl on my Merfolk. So we're questing for 2 every single turn. That's a good side. That's a very big plus, right? And while that's happening, we have rabbits and goats and snakes in our hand. I kind of want to keep a goat because I want to be able to bounce it for lethal because we're already we're very close to there. But that would mean I have to ink my bounce card, right? But I'm very confident we're gonna draw into more bounce characters, so I will play Rabbit here in hopes to see. And there we go. We saw a bounce character, and that's exactly how I think you want to play these matchups. You want to assume like, okay, I have X many bounce characters left in my deck. This is what I'm more likely going to draw in the next couple turns. How do I get there? What's my win condition? This Curse Merfolk is going in now for sure. And now we're going to use all of our bounce on this goat. We don't even really care about bouncing our rabbit because we have another rabbit for draw power. Really, all we care about right now is bouncing and recycling this goat. And in this matchup, he's not going to get rid of the goat anytime soon because he hasn't used one jump ahead or Fishbone. So they play Popsicle, they draw. Then they're going to play another Flavorshim, draw 2. He's going to clear my Merfolk finally, but I'm already at 13 lore. And 13 lore is what I like to call goat range. Now, basically what that means is that now that I'm at 13 lore, all I need is 2 bounce characters and a goat to complete the game. That is basically 20 lore exactly, because once the goat is played the final time, you're going to be at 18 to 19. And you're going to have to destroy the goat no matter what, and it's going to get me that 20 lore. So we can ink. We don't even have to ink anymore. We'll just play the Merfolk here and pass. And there we go. We have 17 lore. We have more than lethal on board with a goat in hand against a deck, and it's only turn 5. That's how you win with Amethyst Emerald. Obviously, this is the easiest matchup. Some matchups are not as easy, but I do think if you find that curve and you find that aggression at the right time, you can get there. And then we just play the goat, and then we just quest with our men. And that's how you win the video game with Emerald Amethyst. Now, if you like Emerald, but you don't want to play Emerald with Amethyst, maybe you want to play Emerald with Amber. There's another kind of like non-meta deck you can play. This is the second place list piloted by Chris Anderson from the Win an Enchanted Elsa event that happened on June 22nd. This list is kind of interesting. We're playing Diablos, obviously, because Diablo's good, but we also have the Kita Goons and the Shift Kita, which is nice. You can combo that off with Under the Sea, which is a board wipe for the opponent to all characters that have 2 strength or less. That's always cool. 4 copies of Sir Hiss, which is an instant out to Diablo. If they play Diablo on you on turn 2, turn 3, you can respond with Sir Hiss. And even if your opponent's not playing Diablo, you can play Sir Hiss and just start gaining a bunch of lore because it is an evasive character. It's like another version of Pegasus maybe, but you want him to have that 3 strength just in case for that Diablo matchup, which is always nice. Then we have some interesting combo cards like the Muses. The Muses is a character right here that's going to let you bounce opposing, actually any character on the board with 2 strength or less anytime you play a song. So one of my favorite combos to do with this is to capitalize on having Ariel on the board. You search a song, you can sing that song. If you have Muses on board, then you can bounce back your Ariel again and play it again next turn to dig for more songs. It's lovely. We're also playing Prince John because we have songs like Sudden Chill and Bare Necessities that are going to discard from the opponent's hand. Very good targets to add from Ariel. You have Forgotten Me as a card, not a song, but this action will discard 2 cards in the opponent's hand. Cricky, which we just saw in the other Emerald list, and We Don't Talk About Bruno, which combos off very well with both Prince John and Ariel when you really think about it. This is a similar list, a similar version, Amuse Me by Thomas from the Dex and Dice Lorcana 1K. This list playing Sleepy's Flute, so maybe you want to try that instead. We also have Strike a Good Match and Ursa the Deceiver Evolve for an ability to sing twice, which might not be bad either. And then we have Look at This Family, which is kind of cool. This card is a Sing Together card that lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and then pick 2 characters and add to your hand. So imagine singing that twice with Ursa the Deceiver Evolve, right? And if you want to play this Emerald Amber deck, I'm thinking maybe your mulligan is probably looking kind of similar. You might want to start off with Diablo into Ursula like most decks. I don't think we want any of these cards in our hand. I don't like keeping songs in case we're going to play a run into an Emerald deck, you know. But so for the most part, none of these cards are that relevant. Maybe the Bare Necessities might be good to keep, so I kind of want to keep it. But I also, in a deck like this, I really want to keep my songs in my deck. So Ariel, there we go. So Ariel has way more targets and way more chances to hit, right? So I hate missing off the Ariel. That's like a really big pet peeve of mine. We Don't Talk About Bruno is not going to happen anytime soon. Like it can, but I think I'd rather prioritize Sir Hiss and possibly the Ursula. So I'm going to ink the Bruno just in case he is playing an Emerald deck. He's playing Ruby Amethyst. So Ruby Amethyst, they have Felin, Brawl, Snake, Maleficent, Beat King, and a Sisu. And we're going to pass there. So they do have kind of a big and scary hand, but we also have some big and scary stuff, though. So it looks like he has Beat King, so we're going to be able to discard the Beat King with that. And I don't think he had anything else other than Beat King, so we might have to ink this Bare Necessities here. Yeah, it was just like Sisu, Beat King. I don't think there was more than one, so we'll ink that away, and then we will play our Ursula to get rid of the Beat King. Probably could have waited and played Sir Hiss and done that after the Prince John. Might have been the correct play, actually. He's going to quest with the Chernobog's followers. He's not going to draw, and then they're going to play the Flynn Rider. So we're going to ink a Sir Hiss, and we're going to play an Ariel. I think Ariel's a good card to play here, and we don't get a song. Very unfortunate for us. Very unfortunate for us there. We can get a good trade with this Chernobog followers, though. Not bad at all, not bad at all. And then we can even quest with this Diablo, and then we'll go from there. I feel like a Sisu's going to come down soon, though, next turn. He's going to ink a Maui. He's going to quest with this Flynn. Oh, he's going to challenge my Diablo with this Flynn. So the AI likes to take bad trades. It tends to happen a lot. And they're going to play Maleficent and pass. Okay, so I'm not confident they have a non-character in hand. So my Ursula is going to clear their Flynn. And I'm just going to pass. I'm going to ink a Sir Hiss. I'm going to ink a Sir Hiss. And I'm going to wait, because I'm going to hope that he has it, like, now. Maybe now they have something like a castle or a B prep or something, and then I'll be able to draw. Ooh. Oh, no. Maybe I should have done it then. I think they drew that. They could have also drawn that, because I knew that they had... Oh, this is really good, too, though. This is really good, too. You know what? Do I set up? No, I have to do this now. Yeah, I have to. Okay, so I have two options, right? I can play this and hope that he has a non-character already, so that I can draw off this Prince John and then ink a card. I can sing it, that's why. And then ink a card, and then play the Lucifer, so I could potentially hit 3 cards out of the hand. Or I can play Prince John and wait. Yeah, we'll play Prince John and wait. I feel like I can do this. I feel like this is an okay play to do in this scenario. Friends on the other side again, that's fine. Now you have even more cards for me to pick from. I probably should have done that then. A rabbit. Okay, so I'm really hoping we hit a B prep here off of this. And we have the double Prince John. So let's go ahead and sing. And we didn't draw an Inkable. That's extremely unfortunate. You know what? We're going to take the risk. Sing it. Sing Bernard Hesses. And he has a Be Prepared and a Brawl. What are we hitting? What are we hitting? Be Prepared or Brawl? So we have Prince John, Ariel. I mean, we have to hit... Either way, he's going to be able to stop our Lucifer. So we might as well hit the... Brawl, I think, just in case, right? So we do want to draw a card. We want to draw 2 cards. Oh, okay. Now we can get rid of more. We're going to ink a Sir Hiss, and now we're going to play our Lucifer. Now he's going to have to discard the Be Prepared. So he has Tremaine in hand. Okay, and then we could even start digging. We could even go deeper. We could even go deeper and sing this Sudden Chill. Get rid of another card in hand. Get rid of the Fox. Draw 2 more cards, refilling our hand. And then we're chilling there. Look at this. This is actually a lot happening here now. Okay, all right. And I like Cricky right now, because Cricky's going to be able to, like, help us clear some stuff if we really need to. We did draw another Prince John, which is nice also. Tremaine. Probably get rid of our Prince John at this point. Okay. We're going to play Ariel. Dig for some cards. Okay, we can get Under the Sea, which is nice. That's technically a board wipe. And if we can get this the Sisu play, then that'd be crazy. That would be crazy. So I'm gonna ink this Cricky, I'm gonna ink the Muses, and we're gonna play this Diablo. Yeah, we're gonna play Diablo, and we're just gonna pass there. We're gonna let them. We'll slow roll it a little bit. Okay, you can get some rabbits. That's kind of insane. All right, they're gonna quest a lot. Ursula Deceiver. All right, there has to be a way for us to do something really good here. I know there has to be a way. So, all right, so I'm going to play Prince John. I'm going to play Ursula. There was no target for Ursula. I'm going to play, and then I'm going to sing. Bam, bam, bam. I don't even have to do all 3. I could just do these 2. And we're going to get rid of 3 characters on their board. And we know they have Castle plus Chernobog followers, and then we could even quest for 2 here, and then we're gonna draw a card off of our Diabler, which is nice. And when he plays Castle, oh my gosh, this Cricky's about to go in. Cricky's about to go in right now on this Castle. Come on, I don't even care. Oh yeah, I'll draw a card off Diablo. Okay, now and we got. Okay, they're not playing no Castle. Friends on the other side. Okay, I would like to draw 2 cards as well, please. Thank you. Okay, so we have a bunch of stuff we can do here now. We're definitely singing Bruno every time on the on his Tremaine. We'll get rid of Jermaine. That's a problem card. I would like to draw a card from Prince John. Ooh. Ooh, okay. So we'll sing it again. We'll sing another one for with Ariel, and we're gonna hit Sisu this time because Sisu's a problem card. We're hitting the cards that quest for 2, as you can see. Now we're gonna shift our Kita because we can. This is fun. Now we're going to what else can we do? We can, oh yeah, look, we can sing another. We don't talk about Bruno, which is really nice. We'll do that. We'll sing that on the, let's do it on the Fox. Yeah, no, let's do it on the, we'll do it on the followers, so we don't, so he doesn't draw. We'll draw a card there. We have a lot of ink to play, so we can play a Sudden Chill. We'll draw another card. And then we can play a Diablo and look at his hand before we call it a day. He has Turnabog and a Sisu, so he doesn't really have anything. So now we're not really worried about anything, and we can just quest, and call it a day. Because in 2 turns, I'm pretty sure we win. That's lethal, right? Especially after how much ink we have now. Oh yeah, and we're gonna draw more off this Diablo on his turn. Yes, he can't challenge anything. He's at 12. He only has Sisu, Turnabog. He has to draw B prep, and even if he does, my hand is still pretty good, I think. Oh, they actually drew beat prep. That's actually crazy. That's actually crazy. Wow. Well, my hand's still okay. Like, I'm not, like, super tripping because I can still actually play something. Oh my gosh, or a be prepared? No. No way. Well, that's how you lose this one, by the way. So, there you go. Well, I misplayed that one, but you get the point. That's what you're not supposed to do with this deck. But I'm pretty sure I could have won that one in a different world if I would have made the right plays. Next up, we have Amber Steel. This is a second place list from a 80-player tournament from TSI Neo. This list looking like your everyday Sleepy's Flute Amber Steel song list. We're playing Piglet in this list though. We have 3 of those, and Piglet's pretty cool because it'll let you quest for 3 if you have a couple characters on board other than Piglet. So it's actually pretty impactful in an early game against any Sapphire deck, and usually Sapphire Ruby's like your worst matchup. So maybe you might want to consider Piglet if you're playing Amber Steel Song, and also playing Lawrence. Check this out. Lawrence is a 3-cost inkable character. He has 0 strength, 4 willpower, quest for 2, but an ability that says while this character has no damage, he gets +4 strength. So he's kind of like a 3 strength, 4/4 character when you play him. This can contest Medusas, it can contest Foxes, it can't be targeted by a lot of cards like that. And he quests for 2, which is pretty nice. Later on in the game, if he does have damage on him, you can heal him back with Rapunzel, and then he will be a 4 strength character again. So that's always kind of nice. So I think that card has a lot of potential. I've always liked Lawrence too, so to see it in the list of a top cut is kind of cool. So and it's gonna let you quest for 2, which is really nice in a deck like Amber Steel Song. Sometimes you just need that extra lord to get you there, and the flute's gonna be able to let you finish the game off. Real quick, here's another list, the Amber Steel Song. Both lists playing the Goons characters of Queen and Robin Hood, so you can shift your 5-cost Queen and your 5-cost Robin Hood characters, making it easier for you to sing your Grab Your Swords, Whole New World, Zeus, and all these other characters. This list is playing Ursula Vanessa instead, though. This is a 2-cost inkable character that is a singer 4, so this is going to let you sing cards like the Storm Rage on, Strength of a Raging Fire, World's Greatest Criminal Goons, and then along came Zeus. So the reason you want to play this too sometimes is because your Cinderella Ballroom Sensation oftentimes is like the #1 target for your opponent to snipe with a card or get out of the field, right? So if they're going to use the Storm Rage on your Cinderella Ballroom, you can follow up with a Ursula Vanessa on turn 2, and now you have even more cards that can sing your power songs, which is kind of important because you want to be able to, capitalize on Sleepy's Flute. And this list is playing Pride Lands, very similar to the Zach Bivens list. Zach Bivens, shout out you, getting first place in the Swiss rounds of the Disney Lorcana in Chicago. Go check out his YouTube channel as well, by the way. Now, Amber Steel is another deck you can play. This is a deck that I'm not necessarily super familiar with, but if our opening mulligan was this, I probably want to keep this Whole New World and this Queen Goons, the 1-drop Queen, because I want to be able to pull that combo off by shifting Queen on turn 2 and singing Whole New World. So I don't know if that's too greedy, but you guys let me know if that's too greedy of a play. I think because it is a 3-card combo and I have 2 cards, 2 pieces of that combo, I'm willing to keep 2 pieces and dig for the other 3, right? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, but I'm going to go ahead and take the risk and see if we see the shift Queen at this combo here. All right, so we're going to mulligan. We kept the Smee too just in case we didn't have a 2-drop. So I ended up keeping the Smee in case we did not have to shift character, because sometimes the 2-drop is just that worth it. And we actually ended up drawing into the shift Queen. So we were rewarded. We took a little risk, risk it to get the biscuit, I like to say. And we ended up drawing Robin Hood Goons, another Smee, and Ursula Vanessa for the other card. So our opponent is going to mulligan as well. I like that we drew the queen with commanding presence. That's always nice because now we do have a shiftable character for Whole New World. So we're going to ink the Ursula, Vanessa, and play the queen Goons. I want to go ahead and keep this to me. Our opponent's going to ink a card. They're inking a cove and playing a cove is what it looks like. So we're going to draw a Let the Storm Rage on for turn. We have Smee and Robin Hood, so we're going to ink one of these. I kind of want to get greedy and see if we can maybe slow roll it, maybe wait the turn and play a Smee, and then turn 3 we can maybe even play a Smee and a Robin Hood and then shift the turn after that. But that's like way too greedy. They showed me that they're playing Emerald, they're playing Hidden Cove, right? So coming in turn 2, I for sure do not want to risk a Ursula Deceiver coming down on their turn. Because if that does happen, I'm going to lose my Whole New World. So I definitely don't want that to happen. I definitely want to keep my Whole New World. So because of that, I'm going to probably not go that route. I'm going to ink this me, and I'm going to play the Queen Commanding Presence so that I can sing Whole New World right now before they drop their Ursula and they start getting rid of the Whole New World. So we play the Queen, we sing Whole New World, and we get to draw 5 cards. So we drew Strength, we drew the Storm Rage on, Smee, Rapunzel, and Ariel, another Storm Rage on, and a Robin Hood Goons off of that. So off now it's our opponent's turn. They only have 2 ink, and we already have a 5-cost character on board. This deck is pretty nuts, especially against our best matchup, which is Emerald Steel, right? So they're going to play double Diablo. Look at our hand twice, which doesn't really do much. They could have moved the Diablo to the cove, but it looks like they're getting cards out of their hand so that we can, effectively play Whole New World, I guess. But the point is, we're going to ink our Ariel because we're not really trying to dig for Ariel too many times. If anything, I want to use the cards in my hand in this matchup. I want to go really wide against Emerald Steel because I want to match their board, right? I want to have some tempo. My sequencing here was really off. Don't play like me. Don't do this. You're supposed to sing and draw first. You're supposed to play the Storm Rage on here first and hit one of the Diablos and then see what you want to ink. I could have inked the Criminal Mind here because this is a Criminal Mind is very bad against the Emerald Steel matchup, and instead I inked an Ariel, so I kind of wasted my Ariel there. So there's one misplay already that I noticed, and now he's going to play a Bucky and play a second Cove. So when I say they, it's the AI. We're playing against an AI, by the way, not a real character. So a real person, I mean. So now we have a Queen, a Smee, and a Robin Hood, and they have 2 characters. So we went really wide against this deck because we know their only outs are like Grab Your Sword, and Grab Your Sword doesn't even clear our board. So we can quest with our Queen, we can lower the strength of the Diablo on board, and then we can give the 4+ strength to our Smee, and now our Smee can make a nice trade here with the castle. So that's a really good application that the Queen Commanding Presence has in this deck. Now he only has one, one Cove, not castle, sorry, Cove. We're dealing with 1 Cove only now, and we still have 3 ink. We have 5 cards to his 3. We have way more resources than they do. So Amber Steel is a deck that can let you do that, especially if you sing that Whole New World on turn 2. Don't be afraid to do that. I see a lot of players try and hold their Whole New World. So we're going to use our 3 ink. We're going to play Ariel. We see a bunch of songs, and Grab Your Sword is the best song in this matchup. So we're going to grab Your Sword without even thinking about it. Again, sequencing, kind of weird. You probably want to play Ariel first to dig for the songs so you know where your whole turn is going to be. I don't know how much that would have impacted my turn, but either way, we're just going to quest with our Robin Hood there. They're going to draw. They're going to ink a card and play the Ursula Deceiver of all, and then move a Diablo to the Cove. That lets them clear my Robin Hood Goons. So now they have a Diablo on the Cove with 2 damage, which is interesting interaction there. We draw into a Sleepy's Flute, which becomes a win condition here. So now we are going to do good sequencing. We're going to sing with our Let the Storm Rage on, and we're going to deal 2 damage and draw a card to our own Queen Commanding Presence. So we have a neat little trick here. We're going to use Rapunzel to heal our Queen Commanding Presence for 2. And now we drew 2 cards, and we know this deck, his deck does not play Whole New World, so we can use and abuse our Rapunzels now and not be too worried. And now we can even sing Grab Your Swords with the same Queen Commanding Presence that we just did damage to. We clear the entire board, and that's how you win with Amber Steel. It has a really good matchup against Emerald Steel, obviously, and against other matchups you might want to play a little bit different, like a little bit more aggressively. But we just made a video with a POV playing Amber Steel, so go check that out. Now let's say you like Amber, but you don't want to play Amber with Emerald. You can play Amber Ruby. We have a second place list here by Teddy Perrio over here. This was on June 30th, the Tap and Roll Lorcana 1K. This list is a Mufasa deck playing cards like Mulan. We got Pluto as 1-drops. We also have Mother Gothel and Sleepy as our 2-drops with 2 copies of Bare Necessities. We have the Beast Wounded. This is another heal target for your Rapunzel, which is good. We're playing for the Rapunzels. We're not playing any of the Julieta Madrigal, which is the other character that heals unless you draw in this deck. And I have seen people not play it in Amber Ruby Mufasa decks, which is very interesting. But we're seeing some cool evasive characters in here like Pongo. We also have the Goofy Super Goof, which is a card that I'm not too fond of, but it looks like it does have some use cases here. We got another Pongo, the 3-drop, 2 copies of Mulan because we want to be able to shift into our 6-drop Mulan. I like this Mulan against Diablo decks. Against Diablo decks, they never play around it, so you're able to shift into this Mulan by using your 3-drop Amber or your 1-drop Ruby Mulan, which is nice. We also got Doc, we got Maui, we have 1 copy of Chernobog's followers. Chernobog, and 4 copies of Stitch Carefree Surfer with 2 Be Prepareds as well. So normally we don't see actions in Mufasa decks, so I'm pretty sure the Be Prepareds and the Baroness Hestes catch players off guard, which is kind of cool to see. This list looking a little spicy. Shout out Talman Purple, by the way. He got top 8 at the CCS 2K, which happened on June 23rd last week. This list looking a little bit different, playing more like location control is what it's looking like. It's pretty cool. This list has 4 copies of Lumiere and 4 copies of Mother Gothel, and the Underworld as our 2-drops. No 1-cost cards or characters, actually. We have 4 Brawl, 4 Just in Time, 4 Sisu. Then we have 4 Tiana's Palace. Very nice, very nice. 4 Tuk Tuk. Very cool. Tuk Tuk is a card that is has evasive. He has an ability that says when you play this character, you may move him and one of your other characters to the same location for free. The other character gets +2 strength this turn. And it's a 3-cost with 2 strength and 3 willpower. Very nice in my opinion, so you're able to move characters to your Tiana's Palace or the Underworld for free. Underworld says whenever a character quests while here, you can pay 3 ink to return a character from your discard to your hand. So it's almost like a Hades ability, but for 3. Very interesting, very interesting. And it gives you 1 passive lore every turn, which is kind of cool too. We also have 4 copies of Prince Eric, 4 Rapunzel, 4 Super Goof, 4 RLS Legacy, 4 Card Soldiers, which is a 5/5/5 character that quests for 2. 4 copies of Jimbo Hawkins and 4 copies of the Queen of Hearts Sensing Weakness, which is the shift Floodborn Queen of Hearts that lets you draw every time you challenge a character. So with a deck like Ruby Amber, I think you really want to consider the cards in your opening mulligan that can be healed, like the Mother Gothel right here that comes in damage. We also have locations in this build because we're playing the location list, and I do want to kind of maybe keep some of these locations, at least one of them, because that seems like the point of the deck. And we're going to keep a 2-drop and a 3-drop as a curve. We don't play any 1-drops in this list, so we didn't really worry about that. We're gonna actually ink our queen because it's the highest cost character and pass turn there real quick. So we actually drew into Brawl, Lumiere, and another Underworld location, and our opponent went ahead and inked a card and played Diablo. So our turn starts. We draw into a Prince Eric, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna want to ink a 1 location because we have an extra one, or maybe we might even ink a Lumiere, but we're gonna get rid of one of the locations. It's not really necessary right now to have 2 of these. We're gonna play the Mother Gothel. Ideally we want to see Rapunzel off the top. Our opponent's gonna ink another card and they play Hidden Cove, and then they're gonna move their Diablo to the Cove. When Emerald decks have Cove, oftentimes they're gonna use their turn 2 to play Cove and move their Diablo to the Cove so that it's not in range for Brawl anymore. So that's something that's very important to remember. It's kind of hard to play around that, but if you can play around it, definitely try. I'm going to ink the Lumiere here, and I'm going to play the Sisu on turn 3 because Sisu on turn 3 is just that good. And Cove is pretty impactful in most matchups, so I'm actually just going to swing into the Cove on turn 2 because either way, if he swings the Diablo into my Mother Gothel, it's going to be a trade. He decides to quest for 1 with the Diablo. He plays a Ursula. We don't have any songs because we got rid of our songs in our mulligan, which is good. We draw Just in Time with no targets, and then we draw a RLS Legacy. So we're going to have to ink another card. We have a location that we can't ink, so I'm just going to actually ink the Underworld. And now our location in hand is going to be Legacy in case we draw Flynn Rider. But in the meantime right now, I'm deciding to play Legacy instead of using Brawl or anything because I don't have any good Brawl targets here. I don't really need the tempo for Flynn because the Sisu is going to give me tempo here with this trade with Diablo, and Mother Gothel is going to clear the Hidden Cove right there. So that's why I decided to play that there. I just really want to see a Rapunzel here. I'm surprised there's no Julieta, but still want to see a Rapunzel, right? They're going to play an Ursula again. That's all they have. We don't have any songs still. And still no good Brawl targets, but Our opponent plays a third Ursula. The AI is our opponent. Play a third Ursula. We're going to draw for a turn. We're going to draw into another Mother Gothel. We're probably going to play the Prince Eric because now we can quest for 2 very effectively. And they're playing Emerald, so they don't have a lot of removal unless they're playing like Emerald Steel. And Steel does not like Prince Eric. So this Prince Eric is very good against the Steel color. Sad Beast, Storm with the Storm Rage on, grab your swords. It makes it so that if they have a character on board, they can't really play their removal cards or their AoE, which is really good. There's the Storm Rage on, just like I said, and they are going to pop the Prince Eric to get it over with, and that gives us a free trade with Prince Eric. We can then pop one of their Ursulas. So they're going to quest for 1. They don't really have anything, is what it's looking like, to follow up with. They play a Bucky, but it's way too late in the game. We don't care about that Bucky anymore. It doesn't look like we have many cards for them to discard anyways, because we're drawing into more just-in-times that we can't use. So this list is cool, but I do want to see more 5-drops. But imagine you use just-in-time to bring out the Jimbo Hawkins, and then you play a location for free. Yeah, it's a 3-card combo, but whoa, that's a crazy 3-card combo. So I'm just gonna move my characters to the Legacy, give them evasive, and start questing. You know, I might even take this tasty trade here with the Sisu, but I'm going to decide not to. Actually, there's actually no reason to. I think we just want to be able to erase our opponent. They are going to play Robin Hood, which makes us discard one of our just-in-times, which wasn't doing anything there anyways. And they're going to decide to not challenge the locations. We are playing against the AI. Our turn, we gain 2 lore in the beginning of our turn, putting us at 11, and we have another location now. So Underworld is cool in the late game because if Underworld decides to survive, we can move one of our characters to the Underworld, and then when we quest, we'll gain the extra ability to get back maybe our Prince Eric that's in our discard pile. So that's kind of cool. That's a pretty cool strategy. And then we're going to use our Sisu to quest for 2, and we're going to use our Mother Gothel to quest for 2. Our Legacy has them with evasive, so what are they really going to do? You know, Steel Emerald is an awesome color, but it's such a low to the ground deck that sometimes locations just kill it, and I feel like having a location control deck is definitely something that can be played in the meta. So we're just gonna go ahead and wait for them to quest with all their characters. They only get to 11, and on our turn we go to 16 at the beginning because of the Legacy, and then 17 because of the Underworld. So now we have Sisu and Mother Gothel to finish the game off, and that's how you win with Amber Ruby. Sapphire Steel is another great competitor to this format. If you don't want to deal with like the Emerald decks and you want to play a Steel deck to combat that, Sapphire Steel is very powerful. This is the Zoolander wheel version 4.0 by RMB. Shout out RMB. He got first place at the Dex and Dice Lorcana 1K. So that's kind of nice. It was like 38 players. 61 card deck playing Whole New World, which is very important. We see cards like Belle in this list. We have 1 copy of Boom. We're obviously playing the 1-jumps, the Fishbone Quills. Nothing too outrageously fancy or spicy, but because we are still playing Whole New World, you definitely want to play Cogsworth and Beast. We are only playing 1 copy of Aerial Treasure Collector and 2 Let It Go with 3 Grab Your Swords, because you can play 3 Grab Your Swords in this deck, because in this deck you can comfortably just hard cast Grab Your Swords from your hand without seeing it, and you'll still have a bunch of ink left over. You need Force Me for sure, I think is what it's looking like when I'm looking at most of the Sapphire Steel decks, or even 3 like from this list right here by Scotty, who got 2nd place at the Mulligan Challenge with this Sapphire Steel list, also playing Whole New World, very similar to RMB's list, both of them playing Rise of the Titans as well to out pesky locations like the Queen's Castle. 1 copy of Zeus in this 2nd list, 4 copies of Tinkerbell in both these lists, with 2 copies of Aerial Treasure Collector in Saudis. And then there's some people even playing no Whole New World lists, which is kind of cool, you know what I mean? So shout out right here, James Gray, getting top 8 at the CCS 10K with the Sapphire Steel no Whole New World variant. We are playing Maurice's Workshop here, so you can draw some extra cards. We're playing Mickey Mouse Detective for some extra ramping of the ink without any 1-jump ahead. I think this is pretty cool. We're even playing 2 copies of Magic Broom Aerial Cleaner, so you have outs to Diablo, and we have 2 copies of Simba the Fighting Prince, which is cool. It is a 7 cost character, 5 strength, 7 willpower, quest for 2, and has an ability that when you play this character, or when this character banishes another character in a challenge on your turn, pick one of the following: draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards, or deal 2 damage to another chosen character actually. So pretty cool combination of cards here. I think Sapphire Steel definitely has its place in the meta, but definitely one of the harder decks to pilot in my opinion. Sapphire Steel, you're gonna want to mulligan and for sure try and find some ramp in the beginning. So if you have a Fishbone Quilt, keep that in your hand. Definitely want to keep these popsicles, and definitely want to keep the Whole New World, I think, because I want to be able to get rid of it as quick as possible and use my hand as much as possible. So I'm gonna ink a Fortress Sphere, play a Popsicle, call it a day, draw a card, and we draw into Cogsworth. So Cogsworth's kind of nice because maybe we can set up a play Cogsworth seeing Whole New World very soon. That might be a very reasonable play. He plays Diablo. It's our turn now, so they might be playing Emerald Steel. So we'll ink a Fishbone Quill because we don't need to, and we're gonna go ahead and play the Smee on turn 2 because it's a very good way to contest the board against these like Emerald aggro decks. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna play a Cove and then move their Diablo to Cove. That's the AI's favorite play to do. It kind of always does this play. But our Smee is pretty powerful here, so not a bad play at all. We can actually use the Smee to bump the Cove and then heal it back with Popsicle. Actually, that won't make sense. We can do the trade onto the Diablo and then heal it back with Popsicle. That's a good play. So we're going to ink a card, and then we're going to play Fishbone Quill, and then we're going to use Fishbone Quill to ink again. We're going to ink our Bell so that we can play our second Popsicle. Next turn, we want to be able to set up a play where we can do maybe Cogsworth, because he does have Worth, so he'll more than likely stay on the board, especially against this matchup, and then we'll be able to sing Whole New World. So we're going to go ahead and do that play. We'll clear the Diablo. We're gonna heal our Smee with the Popsicle, and there we go. Now Smee only has 1 damage on it. They're gonna ink a card, and they're gonna play Storm Rage on, banishing our Smee, and they draw a card as well. So we have 1 jump ahead, and we're gonna go ahead and just ink a card. I'm not sure what to ink here, either Tinkerbell or Cogs. We're gonna ink Tinkerbell, and go ahead and ink a 1 jump ahead with our Fishbone Quill. Utilize as many cards and as much ink as possible. We're gonna play the Cogsworth, and now we have a Whole New World set up. Look how much advantage we have over the opponent. We're at 6 ink. They're barely at 4. We have a 5 cost character and 2 more item resources. We draw a Tinkerbell here, which is just amazing. Unfortunately, his Ursula did get rid of our Whole New World, but our top decks are just better than his, I think. So we're not entirely scared. Maybe we could have hard casted that Whole New World, so maybe it was a misplay. I mean, we're supposed to not play the Cogsworth there, and we're supposed to just hard play Whole New World instead. But let me know what you guys think. Was it too risky to play the Cogsworth and assume he wasn't gonna have Ursula Deceiver, or should we have maybe just played it and not played the Cogsworth instead, right? But you know, our top decks are nice. That's what I like about this matchup, is that against like Sapphire Steel, you know, you're gonna have way better top decks than they are. So you're gonna be able to draw into giant Tinkerbells, Tamatoas, McDuck Manors if you're playing that, more 5 cost characters like Robin Hood, and they have a bunch of little guys like Aladdin, Ursula's. The Codes aren't really doing anything anymore because it's barely getting them to catch up on some of the strength. All right, we drew into a Beast Hard-Headed, which is a nice 5 cost character. So this will let us play, or sing actually, another Whole New World if need be in the future. So that's not bad at all. We're going to go ahead and use our Tinkerbell to challenge the Ursula and get some value there, and dealing some extra damage and clearing it, and dealing 2 damage to the Aladdin. And we're just going to quest with our Cogsworth because we can. And he's going to use Zeus. He's going to clear our giant Tinkerbell, so no more value there, but they only have 2 cards in hand, and we have board presence. They have 2 Coves that aren't really doing anything. We have 2 5 cost characters, and now we just stopped that Whole New World. There it is. Now we can just sing, draw 7 new cards, and we can ink more because we have Fishbone Quill. And we drew Tamatoa, Grab Your Swords, we drew a Lucky Dime, and now that we're in the later game, we can just take control of this game. Everything else does not matter. Being in the later game against his deck puts you at such a huge advantage, because pretty soon, actually next turn, we can just ink a card and then ink another card with Fishbone Quill, and we can just start playing Tamatoas. And Emerald Steel is not going to have many outs to Tamatoa, especially if they've already used their Along Came Zeus to clear some of your other cards. You're going to start playing problem card after problem card, and then you can play Lucky Dimes to close the game out with that. Next up, we have Amethyst Steel. This color combo is a color combo that I think people have been sleeping on up until just this week. This list is a top 8 list from Eric P. from the Deck and Dice Lorcana 1K that happened on June 29th, and it looks a lot like the list that Spessy posted on YouTube that he used to get first place at his Disney Lorcana Set Championship. So go watch that video if you haven't already. It has like a bajillion views, so I imagine a lot of you have seen it already. But this deck is pretty powerful. On turn 1, you can play a Maleficent, a Broom, or a Turnabog, and then turn 2, if you're playing against a Sapphire deck, you can follow up with an aggressive card like Smee, so you can start questing for 2, 4, 6 really quickly. Or you can play Madam Mim Snake, which is going to let you bounce back your Maleficent so they don't challenge it, right? So that's kind of nice. And then turns 3, 4 are pretty cool because you can play cards like Fox. You have Benja for the item decks. You even have your 3-drop Tinkerbell, which is cool, so you can shift it on turn 4 potentially. I think shifting your Tinkerbell Giant Fairy is underrated this format. This Tinkerbell, the Tiny Tactician, is not the best card. It feels just like a 3-2-4 vanilla sometimes, so you don't really use the ability to draw and discard 2 often, but at the end of the day, shifting this card against green steel against a lot of decks can be killer. So the swing and tempo you get a lot, I think, is really nice. So we have Zeus in this deck, we have the foxes, the snakes. We're also playing the goats and the rabbits at 4, so we got the petting zoo package and the castles. And we're playing Belle, the accomplished mystic. So this card is pretty cool. It's a 5-cost inkable character with 4 strength, 4 willpower. That says when you play this character, move up to 3 damage counters from chosen character to chosen opposing character. So this is pretty cool. You can move your damage counters on your characters like Sami, and you can maybe deal 2 damage to an opposing character or something. So some pretty high potential there, even 3 damage if you're playing the tactician Tink. Maybe that has 3 damage on it. You can potentially heal your character and deal damage to the opposing character at the same time. So I feel like this build does have high potential in the future, and it is a sorcerer card. So I do like the way this deck plays out. I think, you know, I think if you've been on like Amethyst cards or steel cards in general, you might want to check this deck out. You could even play Amethyst Steel with brooms. Check this one out. This is a first place from a 1K and guaranteed enchances and challenge promos by the encounter. Chad Feist, shout out you. Look at this. We're playing brooms and Amethyst. I love this. We have 4 of the magic broom, the Illuminary Keeper. Then we have 4 of the aerial cleaner broom. We also have 4 Yen Sid as a small broom package. And then we're playing the similar cards as the other package. We have Benja, friends on the other side, you know, cards like Zeus, Giant, Tinkerbell. I like this though. We have Dolores Madrigal to get some extra draw power and some lore because she quests for 2. We're also playing Smash because you want to be able to get rid of some cards like Diablo just instantly whenever you need to, you know. Only 3 copies of the castle, and then 4 Robin Hood because we are playing 4 of the Robin Hood Goons. I like the Merlin broom package right here. It's not bad at all. Being able to draw an extra card off the Merlin as another like Maleficent almost it's pretty good. It makes the deck really fast, and I think questing for 3 is kind of underrated. So I do want to try this deck out myself. We might be sleeping on Amethyst Steel, guys, especially in a Bucky meta. This deck looks really nice. So for Amethyst Steel, I really want to try this broom list over here. We opened up the 2 broom aerial cleaners. We opened up Yen Sid, Go. We have Dolores Madrigal and along came Zeus. So I'm for sure gonna keep a 2-drop and the Yen Sid. So we keep 1 broom, 1 Yen Sid, and probably get rid of the rest because I really want to see a 1-drop, I think. And we're playing Amethyst Steel, so ideally we want to see some early game stuff, and then close the game out with some goats, some castles maybe. So our opening play, we're gonna have to ink a card and just pass because we do not have a 1-drop. We inked Benja, they inked a Hidden Cove. Oh no, they inked a Pegasus actually, and they played Hidden Cove to start off because it's Emerald. Emerald's in the meta, so that's our opponent today. We're gonna ink a goat that we just drew and play the broom aerial cleaner. Now we have it out to Diablo. Unfortunately, he has Cove, so if he can shift Diablo, then he can move it to the Cove. See, the AI's favorite play, moving it to the Cove. This does make it so that my aerial cleaner broom cannot clear his Diablo now because the Diablo has 3 willpower. So that is kind of a good play. We're gonna ink our Dolores Madrigal. We did draw another broom, which is cool. It's a 1-cost, and we have Yen Sid. So Yen Sid's gonna give us an extra draw there. It's like a Maleficent, which is cool. Like I was saying, a bunch of draw power here. And then we have the magic broom that could possibly trigger, but we're just not gonna trigger it. And we're probably gonna use this aerial cleaner to start doing some damage to the Hidden Cove. But we could also just pass. So I'm gonna pass and just let there not be any damage there done. They're gonna use the Storm Rage on our 1-drop broom. They banish it, draw a card, and they quest for 1 with their Diablo. They don't have Shift Diablo, which is nice. We don't have a 3-drop, so we can play Yen Sid, draw another card, or we can hard cast, let the Storm Rage on, and pass. But we're gonna go ahead and play we're gonna ink the Yen Sid actually and draw off our rabbit that we're gonna play, and we're just gonna. And now we're going to use the Magic Broom to deal 2 damage to the Cove. Probably should have done that the first time, because then this Cove would have been at only 1 willpower left, and our Yen Sid could have gotten rid of it. They're going to play a Bucky, so now this is getting a little scary. Double Bucky, actually. Whoa. So the double Bucky against my handful of songs. So I can't target the Bucky because Bucky has Ward. We draw into Benjamin. Benjamin is our only inkable card, so we might have to ink it. But first, good sequencing. We're going to sing our Storm Rage on and deal 2 damage to the Diablo. We could also sing Zeus with our, Rabbit instead and deal 5 damage to it. But we drew a castle off that, which is nice. So now what we can do is we can clear the Cove. And since the Diablo had 2 damage on it, once once the cove is gone, the Diablo gets banished. We ink the Benja in our hand, and now we can move the rabbit to the castle. Pro plays right here, and now his Bucky is irrelevant. If they play a Pegasus, which is a Floodborn, and this means we discard 2 cards, but it doesn't matter because we're gonna draw an extra card for our turn because we got to play the castle. So you see how important sequencing is there. You want to be able to draw cards before you before you commit to the rest of your turn. Using the Storm Rage on there to draw off the rabbit was really important because we were able to deal 2 damage to the Diablo. We were still able to clear the cove, and once we cleared the cove, Diablo was still banished. We didn't have to waste Zeus in our hand, and now we have Zeus for a bigger character like a Tinkerbell, a Beast Tragic Hero, or a Pegasus, and I like keeping those big Floodborn characters in mind when using a card like Zeus. So getting that extra draw off a Storm Rage on meant that we were able to play Castle and then know that the rest of the turn we're gonna move Rabbit to the Castle. That was so important. So now it's our turn. We get to draw the extra card off of Castle. We get to draw a card for our turn. We draw another Yen Sid, and now we can draw more cards because we have the Yen Sid to draw. We're gonna use the Zeus to destroy their Floodborn 5-cost character, just like I was saying. Yen Sid, let's just draw a card. That was off sequencing. I should have drawn first, but I mess up on the sequencing too when I'm recording and trying to go fast. We have another ink to spare, so we'll ink the Robin Hood Goons and we'll move our Benjamin to the castle. Now we're gonna draw 2 cards for the castle, and if we get a broom off the top, these Yen Sids are gonna start questing for 3 each. So that's pretty nice. And they draw Sad Beast, but it doesn't matter anymore because we're just drawing 3 cards per turn. We draw a Robin Hood, a rabbit, and another friends on the other side, and that's how you beat the meta using something like Amethyst Steel. But let's say you don't like Steel and you just want to play a different type of removal. Well, Ruby Amethyst might be your best friend. This is the top 4 list from the Disney and Lorcana Challenge in Chicago. This happened in the beginning of June. We're in the beginning of July now. It's been about a month since the meta has been evolving, which is cool. This list was playing 8 1-drops. So you have Magic Broom and Chernobog followers. Flynn Riders for sure, like a staple in Ruby Amethyst. I feel like people don't really play Cusco anymore. We have 4 Brawl, which is mandatory, and then all the other cards like Be Prepared, Be King Undisputed, Medusas. You're definitely going to see those in more modern lists. This is the 2nd place list here from the 2K Origins Game Fair, which just passed not that long ago on the 22nd of June. Shout out Richard Zapp for getting 2nd place with this Ruby Amethyst list. We are seeing Cusco's. Maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe Cusco still is relevant in this meta. But this list is playing 8 1-drops as well. We have 2 Minnie Mouse and 2 Olaf. That's the 1 cost of 1/3 in this deck, and I'm not sure why you wouldn't just play 4. And then we also have 4 copies of Chernobog followers. We have Flynn Rider, which is good. The Sisu's to kind of curve out really nicely. 2 copies of Crab, which I think is still pretty nice in Ruby Amethyst. 3 Beat Prep instead of 4, and 1 copy of Goofy. This is the Goofy Daredevil, has evasive. It's a 5 cost character, inkable with 3 strength, 4 willpower that can quest for 2. So maybe you just want some more evasive characters in that deck. And this is the 1st place list by Lucas Serrano. Shout out you. By the way, thanks for watching the channel, man. I saw the comments and I really appreciate it. I didn't comment directly on it because I was a little starstruck when I saw it and I was at work and I was like, I gotta reply to that later. But yeah, Lucas Serrano, man, getting 1st place at the 10K, the CCS 10K, which is really cool. Dude is a young Lorcana player who knows what he's doing. So I definitely like this list a lot. Only playing 4 1-drops, so not even playing 8 or 6, only 4 1-cost characters, the 4 Chernobog followers. And then you're playing everything else after that, like the Flynns, the Snakes, the Brawls, the Castles. Everything looks very standard, and this is how I'm playing Ruby Amethyst personally. I think you need to play Tremaine in this format still. A lot of people are now playing Tremaine in this deck. I don't understand why. I think Tremaine is so good. 3 Medusa, 3 Be King Undisputed, and 4 Be Prepared as your high-end removal. Next up, we got Ruby Amethyst. Now, Ruby Amethyst is one of my favorite decks. I genuinely really enjoy playing this deck, so I feel like I have a lot to say. But with a hand like this, I'm for sure going to keep my 1-cost character. We don't have any 2-cost characters, so we do want to go fishing for that. Rabbit is an uninkable 4-cost character, but with the exception of most other rules, I will usually always keep Rabbit in my hand, especially if I feel like I'm playing against a deck that I know isn't going to use something like Whole New World. If anything, Amber Steel is the only matchup that I'm kind of afraid of, but I will probably keep Rabbit. I do think about it sometimes because I do really want a 2-drop, but Rabbit is so important, I think, in a lot of matchups. And, I don't like keeping the bounce cards because you can just see them later on in the game, right? So we are going to keep the Rabbit and the Chernobog's followers. And look, our 2-drop, we ended up seeing it off the mulligan. We drew Flynn Rider, so that's always nice. We're going to go ahead and ink the go and start our game off with a Chernobog followers for turn 1. pass to our opponent, pass to the AI. The AI is going to ink a card and play a Cove for turn 1. That is the favorite play for the AI to do. Next, they're going to go ahead and draw a Flynn Rider for turn. We're going to ink a Flynn and play a Flynn, or ink a Goat and play a Flynn. We have 2 different options here. We don't have a turn 3 play, so we might even want to play Flynn turn 3, but it's not really the best play, so you probably draw off the Turnabok first so that we can see what we're going to do. He didn't play any characters, so what we can also do is just use Turnabok to swing into the Cove. That also seems like a good idea, but we're going to quest with the Turnabok, and we're going to draw a card because I really want to see a 3-drop after this. We did not see it off the top, so I am going to ink the Goat, play a Flynn. Maybe there's potential in playing double Flynn if he doesn't have a character strong enough, and he doesn't, so he plays Ursula Deceiver. We have Beep Rep in hand. Can't do anything about that. We just drew into it, unfortunately. We drew Snake, which is potentially a card we can play here. We can also play the second Flynn, but we have to ink one of them for sure and play. And there's a chance we don't even play the other one because we need ink to play this rabbit the turn after. We're going to go ahead and ink the Snake there, and we're going to play the second Flynn. We're going to take that risk and play a second Flynn there. Maybe Snake was the right play. I'm starting to think Snake might have been the right play. We'll use our Flynn to deal 2 damage to this Cove here. They're going to ink a card, and now they're going to pay 1 ink to move their Ursula to the Cove, and they get a nice trade into our Flynn. Ooh, so that was kind of a misplay for me, I believe. Maybe shouldn't have done that play that way, but we do draw an inkable card. Not bad, you know. We can ink this and play a Rabbit and try and get us back into this game. Rabbit is like one of the best cards in Lorcana. I think if you're a Amethyst player, you know what I'm talking about on how good Rabbit is. Personally, I think that this card can take you out of any bad game state, and we have 2 Rabbits in hand, so I am not really worried. They are going to use the Storm Rage on to eliminate our Flynn Rider and draw a card. They couldn't sing it though, so that's like most of their turn, and they're going to quest with the Ursula Deceiver. Now we have options, so we can sing friends on the other side. We can play Goat. In 2 turns we can play this Ursula, so I will take advantage in seeing this friends before another Ursula comes down. And we have 5 ink to spare, but we don't have an efficient way to use it. So I don't want to use Brawl unless I'm going to use it on a Diablo. So I'm going to play the strongest character in my hand, which is Merlin. And I do want to keep the Brawl in my hand in case we see like a Diablo, because I want to have Medusa for a Beast Tragic hero. And I do want to keep both of those in mind, right? And we have Rabbit already to draw cards where we don't need Maleficent there. So they get rid of our Rabbit with a clean challenge. We get to draw an extra card there, which is nice. We're at 5 Lord there too. We drew another Friends on the other side, but they discarded off the they discarded with their Ursula. So that was really unfortunate there too. We did draw a Fox off that, so we have some multiple plays we can do. We can bounce back our Goat if we want to. We can play Medusa here if we need to. Medusa's not a bad card, but Fox does similar things. We can ink Fox and play something else. We can ink Brawl away. But we're gonna ink our Brawl, and we're gonna play Medusa for tempo and clear his Aladdin. Kind of a risky play in my opinion. I maybe should have done something with Fox instead, or slow rolled it a little bit, because I really wanted to be disciplined with this Medusa and save it for a Beast or a Robin Hood. But we'll see what he has. We'll see if we get punished. There's also Pegasus that would have been, but he's only at 3 lore, so I'm not like super scared, right? And I could also bounce back this Medusa within the same turn. So he does play a Beast Tragic hero, which is what I was afraid of. So there's a big misplay there by me. I can use the Fox to bounce back the Medusa, which is also an option, but I'm deciding not to. I'm actually going to go ahead and play the Rabbit to draw a card, and then we're going to ink, and then we're going to be able to bounce this back with our Fox and just try and generate even more value, because all we need to see is a Be Prepared, a Tremaine, a Medusa, a Be King Undisputed. We have a variety of cards. Even some Mim Snakes would be nice, because then we'll be able to bounce our Medusa next turn and play it again for 8 ink, right? So we're going to play our Fox and bounce back our Rabbit. Okay, so sometimes you misplay and I accidentally just banished my Fox, but anyway, you get the picture. That's how you play Ruby Amethyst against Emerald Steel. Yeah, see, we got control of the game. We're chilling. Wow, okay, maybe this is the hardest matchup. Next up, we have Ruby Sapphire. So this list that we're going over was 3rd place, Tomas. This was from the DLC Chicago. 3rd place, Ruby Sapphire. This is a pretty standard list in my opinion. This is probably what you'll see at a lot of your set championships. Cards like Ice Block, Great Dragonstone being used. We have Sisu, the board wipe, which is going to be able to clear 2 strength or lower characters. Then we are seeing the Sisu Emboldened Warrior as well as a shift target. Be Prepared is still very relevant this format, and Ruby Sapphire really likes to burst at the end of the game with Lucky Dime Tamatoa combos. So you're going to see that in pretty much every Ruby Sapphire deck list, as the same thing right here with Taylor Lewis, 3rd place at the 10K C as Charlie's collectible show. we're playing very similar cards. 3 Ice Block, we have the Sisus, Lucky Dimes, Tamatoas. You know, a lot of this meta is kind of standard in terms of when you're playing a deck like Ruby Sapphire. There is Flynn Rider in this list, which is kind of cool. I like the addition of Flynn Rider Frenemy in Ruby Sapphire. I think this helps a lot against certain matchups in the mirror match against the opposing Ruby Amethyst players, especially Ruby Amethyst in the late game. Your Flynn Rider is going to be able to resolve way easier than theirs because you play cards like Maleficent, Tamatoa, Sisu, when they don't play those cards, right? Other interesting cards that are worth noting are like Vitalisphere. So in the beginning of the game, obviously your perfect curve with this deck is Popsicle into 1 jump into Grandma or Haram Flavorshim. And then later on, you can even sing those characters with how far will go. And you just really want to control the board and try and gain as much lore in the beginning as possible so that towards the end of the game, you can start swinging for lore with some of these big characters like Tamatoa, Maleficent, etc. Right? And cards like Vitalisphere are going to help in the early game, which is kind of cool because there's a lot of aggro in this meta. Alright, Ruby Sapphire is a very control-based deck, and like in other Sapphire decks, you really want to focus on seeing your ramp in the beginning. Your ideal turn is probably Popsicle into 1 jump ahead into Flavorsham or Grandma. We do have a Flynn Rider in this list because I do like Flynn Rider in Ruby Sapphire. I think it has some high potential. We're going to go ahead and keep a lot of Inkables in our hand because we do play almost 20 Uninkables in most Ruby Sapphire decks, so I want to make sure I have Inkable cards. And so because of that, we're going to keep our Grandma, our Flynn, and our Fishbone Quill. So I also want to keep Grandma because in case we do find 1 jump ahead, then we can 1 jump into our Grandma in case we don't see the Flavorsham. But we have Flavorsham. We had both Flavorsham and Grandma in our opening hand. So let's go ahead and start our turn. We're going to ink this Maleficent Monsters Dragon because we don't get to play the dragon until turn 9, potentially like turn 5 if we can ramp that high, but it's not going to see the light of day for a minute. They do ink a Ursula Deceiver of all and past turn. They're playing Emerald, which is sometimes a bad matchup against Ruby Sapphire decks. We did draw Popsicle a turn late. Not too bad, but you know, we'll make do with what we have. We're gonna go ahead and ink the Flynn Rider and play our Popsicle so that we can draw a card. We probably could have drawn first, which is actually the correct sequencing because now I have Tamatoa, which I probably wouldn't have played anytime soon. I could have inked the Tamatoa, and I'll probably play Flynn Rider first and Tamatoa, right? So sequencing, you know, we always got to make sure we draw first. We actually drew 1 jump ahead after as well, so we're drawing everything off curve. We're just gonna ink the Tamatoa. We're gonna go ahead and play our Fishbone Quill and trigger it so we can ink again, and we're probably just gonna get rid of this 1 jump ahead since we're trying to maybe play some characters on the board next turn. Most Emerald decks are pretty character heavy, so I really want to make sure I can play some characters as well to match his tempo. He's gonna use Sudden Chill, and we're gonna discard a How Far I'll Go because I already have a Grandma and a Flavorsham. They're gonna play Diablo on us, so I really want to be able to draw cards before that Diablo gets exerted. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Fishbone Quill. I'm gonna ink my Tamatoa. I'm going to play the Flavorsham to draw 2. Again, I probably should have drawn first. Stop misplaying. I'm showing you guys misplay so you guys know not to do this. Always draw first. It just makes more sense. I could have played Flavorsham first. I could have drawn 2, and then I could have decided what I was going to ink. I'll probably still ink the Tamatoa there because I want to keep this Maui in case he drops a Cove or you start dropping like any fancy characters like a giant Tinkerbell or a Robin Hood. Like those characters, they get eaten up by Maui pretty quickly. Even if I have V-Prep, like I have 4 Tamatoa in the deck and I'm confident I'll see it again or more big boss characters very soon. So we are going to ink a Maui anyways, you know, because we do have the B-Prep in hand. So that's going to be able to let us clear characters. But we're going to keep the Grandma because I want to be able to keep digging for cards. Especially now that he has Bucky. He's going to try and discard cards for me. But we have Flavorsham to draw cards. And we have Grandma to replenish our hand. So they're going to quest. And they're going to go to 2 lore to our 0. Our turn, we draw another Tamatoa. There you go. Tamatoa is kind of good. So we have options here. We might be able to just play B-Prep. I think in general, I want to be able to use this Fishbone Quill before I get rid of it with my Flavorsham, so I will ink my Grandma off the Fishbone, and now I will draw before deciding what I'm gonna do. Then we're gonna draw 2 by popping our Fishbone, and we have multiple ways to clear this board now. We can ink the Tamatoa and play the Sisu, but that means that we don't get to play our Tamatoa, and that would be our 3rd Tamatoa that we ink, and I don't like that. When you're playing a deck like this, keep track of your win conditions, keep track of how many cards you have in your deck, keep track of how many goats you've gone through, how many goats you've inked, how many castles you've inked. You know, I want to keep track of how many win conditions I have in my deck left, and I'm not confident that I'm going to see my 4th Tamatoa in the rest of these 44 cards, so I need to appreciate the Tamatoa that's in my hand. So I'm actually just going to play the Be Prepared here. Or I could play Medusa actually, because Medusa is just as good. It'll let me stop the Diablo from drawing. The problem is that it'll let Bucky go off again, so if he has multiple multiple Floodborns, I have to discard multiple cards. So I will just play B Prep and call it a day, because this Sisu here, this Sisu is going to be able to do very similar things potentially. They're actually just going to play Sad Beast, and we have a great response. We have Medusa in our hand already, ready for Sad Beast to go away. Again, I could have played Popsicle to draw before that Medusa, but I don't think it would have changed too much there, because that Sad Beast was just calling my name with the Medusa. You know, we drew one jump ahead, which doesn't do anything, and they're going to play a Hidden Cove right there, and hardcast a Storm Rage on to deal 2 damage and draw. So Ursula Deceiver is going to be played, and it's going to discard our one jump ahead, and we drew an Inkable. But we're not really in a rush to like try and play big characters in this board state, because we already have the tempo in our favor, and we actually drew the 4th Tamatoa, funny enough, so we're just going to ink it away. This is disrespect, and we're gonna go ahead and use our Medusa and pass turn. So we'll use Medusa to clear the cove, and now we can play Sisu to just eliminate the entire board. Sisu is like a Be Prepared with legs, and that's how you beat Emerald decks. You know, you just want to control the early game as much as possible, and then once you get to the later end of the game, you're to the top end of your deck will carry you into victory. And Tamatoas can just grab all your cards back, so be sure to always keep one Tamatoa in your hand or available in rotation. So we've been giving the AI a lot of Emerald Steel. This is the Emerald Steel list that we've been giving it. This is the Brian Cortades list from the Disney Lorcana Challenge Chicago, first place by the Rat. And if you haven't seen our Quest with the Guest episode, go watch that video where he really breaks down how to play this deck, and our other recent episode where we sat down with Dale Bolito, who also explains how to play this deck very well. But Emerald Steel, the Bucky deck, the deck that we've all grown to hate. You know, when they play Bucky on 2, you know they're going to play Aladdin on 3 or Diablo, followed by some more Floodborn characters on 4 like Flynn Rider or Jafar, and then Tragic Hero Beast or Robin Hood on turn 5. Because every time they play a Floodborn character, you're discarding cards. So this is like a very standard list in my opinion. How you're going to see it. Some people playing cards like, and then along came Zeus, some lists not. We're playing, we don't talk about Bruno for songs, Let the Storm Rage On, Strength of a Raging Fire. We also have Set and Chill. I love that we're playing the Robin Hood Goons and the Shiftable Robin Hood targets. Some players do not play the early one drops, just the Floodborns, which is very interesting to see. Some other lists right here playing cards like Tiana, which is something you don't really see very often. Tiana is a non-inkable 4-cost character that says, while this character is exerted and you have no cards in your hand, your opponents cannot play actions. So that's a pretty cool way to stop your opponent from using Be Prepared if you find yourself losing to Be Prepared. This list for getting first place by Quinton at the La Grande Illuminarium tournament, which is kind of cool. Check that out. Shout out to you for getting first place with this Emerald Steel Bucky list. I like how we are seeing Tinkerbell at 3. Some lists are playing Grab Your Swords, some not, which is very interesting to see. This list is not right here. This was by Austin Briddick getting first place at the Charlie's Collectible Show 2K. Obviously, they're all playing Bucky. You know what, the Bucky's such a very impactful force of the format. But yeah, staple-wise, it looks like they're all playing Ursula Deceiver of all, so that you can capitalize on your ability to sing cards. They were playing Sudden Chill and the other songs in here as well. And yeah, man, I really think this deck is obviously tier 1. It does what it needs to do. The ability to use Hidden Cove to play around stuff like Brawl, Sisu, or even other characters that are gonna deal more than 2 damage to your Diablos and your other characters, really goes a long way. So like, don't underestimate how powerful Hidden Cove is, in my opinion. And you know, obviously, like, we know how good Bucky is. You know, we can't finish this video without going over everybody's favorite, Emerald Steel. You know, when you're playing this deck, you obviously want a mulligan for Bucky. Don't keep any songs in your hand, because you don't want to get songs sniped out by a mirror match Ursula Deceiver. And in the mirror match, you probably want to keep Ursula Deceiver in your hand just in case you are playing a mirror match, right? So I'm gonna get mulligan everything away except for this 2-drop. And I do want to stress that, by the way, don't be afraid to mulligan like 5-6 cards. I do it all the time. Like a lot of times I've noticed players don't mulligan like their whole hand, and like, I don't think, you know, sometimes you have to mulligan your whole hand. That's perfectly fine. So as you've been seeing in a lot of these like tests, I've been getting rid of around 5 or 6 cards every time, because I really want to see a 1 and a 2-drop. Everything else is usually kind of okay depending on your deck, but for the most part, like, you really are looking for specific cards, I think, in the way certain decks run. Especially the deck like Emerald Steel, you really want to see your early game in the beginning and let the middle of your deck kind of carry you throughout the rest of the game. All right, so we opened up Cove as our 1-drop. We have Ursula Deceiver, Bucky, Rise of the Titans, Strength of a Raging Goons. We have Sudden Chill and Aladdin. So we're gonna go ahead and ink a card to start our turn. We're gonna go. So we're not gonna ink the Rise of the Titans in case we are playing against a Amethyst deck. I'm going to go ahead and ink Strength of a Raging Fire. I want to get rid of songs in my hand in case they're playing Ursula or Mirror Match and Emerald deck, you know. So they're going to go ahead and start their turn and ink a card and pass. They inked a Maui, We know they're not going to be playing Emerald Ruby, so I don't mind keeping this Sudden Chill in hand. And they could be playing Ruby Amethyst, so maybe I shouldn't have inked the Rise of the Titans right there. But we're going to go ahead and just play Bucky because we have a good matchup against Ruby Amethyst decks being a discard deck, right? Alright, so there we go. We are playing Ruby Amethyst. They inked a Queen's Castle and played a Flint Rider, but our Bucky is going to disrespect them by discarding a card in their hand. We're going to ink this Pegasus, and we're going to play this Aladdin, who's a Flutterborn character. Give them the old 1-2, buckle my shoe, and make them discard a Brawl. In a pass turn, they're going to go ahead and ink a card and play Maleficent and draw a card. They're going to use Flynn to deal 2 damage to the Cove. Sometimes the AI be doing silly plays. We drew a Let the Storm Rage on, which is not bad at all because we can use this to deal 2 damage to their Maleficent. We probably want to deal 2 damage to their Maleficent instead of their Flynn because leading a 3-cost character on board means they can sing friends on the other side. I'm not really too worried about the Flynn right now because it's not gaining the 3 lore because our Aladdin is stronger, so there's that. So we want to play Beast next turn, and this turn we could potentially play an Ursula for tempo. I also like holding Ursula closer to around Be Prepared, you know, so we give them more opportunities to draw. So we are just going to go ahead and ink the Strength of a Raging Fire. We are going to play Ursula, and they do have a Be Prepared, so we will snipe that Be Prepared out of their hand, and we're going to play the Sudden Chill just because we can. We're probably not supposed to do that, though. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to keep that just in case we don't draw an Inkable next turn, because we really want to play this Sad Beast. They're going to go ahead and use Flynn Rider once again to deal 2 more damage to the Hidden Cove, and we drew Sad Beast off of that. So we're going to ink our Sad Beast, play our Sad Beast, make him discard another card, and now we can use Aladdin to get a tasty trade here, and we're just going to quest with our Ursula. We're going to ink a card, challenge my Aladdin with the Rabbit. They get to draw an extra card and banish my Aladdin for that. We draw 2 cards per turn because we have Beast, so we're gonna go ahead and draw. We're gonna go ahead and draw Tinkerbell and Robin Hood. We're gonna play the Robin Hood, triggering the Bucky, making him discard another card. So we got rid of a Flynn there, and we're just gonna quest with our Ursula Deceiver, and we're gonna keep our Bucky alive. We're still not in the Be Prepared turn, but they have friends on the other side, so they're gonna draw 2, which is very unfortunate for us. They're gonna ink a Turnabog Followers and play a Madame Medusa on turn 6, hitting my Robin Hood, not my Beast actually. So now I have options. I have Bucky. I also have a Diablo, so we could set up a double Bucky play, but if we get Be Prepared, we get very disrespected by that. So let's go ahead and ink this Diablo so we can get to 6. And we're going to play the second Bucky, and we're going to try and trigger this double Bucky play, because if they have Be Prepared, then we just got to accept that, I guess. And we're going to just move everything to the Cove, utilize our ink, and we will pass turn there. They're going to draw a card. They're going to ink a card. Quest with the Rabbit. Ooh, do they have Be Prepared? No, not Quest. Sorry. They're going to challenge the Cove with the Rabbit. They play a second Medusa off the top of their deck, and it eliminates the Beast we had. Ooh, this is getting rough. Now, their double Bucky doesn't matter, but we can play Tinkerbell here and deal 1 damage to everything. Get rid of the last card in their hand. They play Turnabog Followers. Now the top end of their deck is looking kind of hard. This is supposed to be an easy matchup for this deck too, so I'm pretty sure I played this wrong. Oh, but sometimes we're lucky. We just draw another Sad Beast, and that's how the game works sometimes, I guess. We can use our Giant Tinkerbell to clear this Medusa and deal 2 more damage to another card. We're going to hit their Rabbit so that they don't top deck a Snake or a Fox. And then we're going to be able to play the Beast after that and trigger our Buckies and discard the card they drew off the Rabbit, which is some big brain plays right there. And now we're just going to quest with at least 1 Bucky, 1 Ursula, and hope they don't draw anything. They play a goat. It doesn't seem like that's enough for them to come back. They're going to use Medusa to clear our Ursula. They're going to use Turnabog to draw a card, and then they're going to play a Snake to bounce back the goat. It's not enough. We're drawing 2 cards. We have Sudden Chill for the last goat in their hand. We have the Boom now to clear their board. And that's how you win with Emerald Steel against decks like Ruby Amethyst. You want to control the early game with the discard, and then you just want to make sure you can control the later game by creating more and more advantage and tempo with your Tinkerbells, with your Beasts. Tinkerbell is really good because it's not a Medusa target. Also, utilizing Cove to play around cards like Brawl is very effective in this matchup. Yeah, this deck is the best deck, but there still is some nuance to playing it. And getting close to wrapping it up here, we have Amber Amethyst. This is a color combo we don't see very often, but it is a hyper aggro color combination. I haven't seen this since my top 16 match that I lost to, right? Shout out Josh Pope for getting first place that day. Yeah, yellow purple, no Mufasa. Only characters in this list, though. Very interesting. It's a hyper aggro list playing 2 Befuddle, 4 Turnabog Followers, 4 Kita Goons, Lilo, Maleficent Biding Her Time, Pascal, Snake, Piglet, Pinocchio Star Attraction. We have 3 copies of Simba Protective Cub, 4 Arthur Wizard's Apprentice, Baloo, Madame Mim Fox, Merlin the Goat, and 4 copies of the Shiftable Kita, and 3 copies of Donald Duck Musketeer Soldier. I really like this Donald Duck. If you don't know what he does, he's a 3-cost inkable character. That's a 2 strength, 3 willpower bodyguard. That says when you play this character, chosen character gains +1 lore this turn. So if you have a Lilo already on board and you play this Donald Duck as bodyguard to protect your Lilo, you can give that Lilo an extra lore for that turn and she'll quest for 3 that turn. So that's kind of nice. Hyper aggro doing its thing because there's a lot of Sapphire in the meta. So, you know, if you're thinking your Mogul is going to have a bunch of Sapphire, maybe consider taking a hyper aggro deck. And this hyper aggro deck tends to have a very good matchup against Ruby Amethyst as well, in my opinion. I think if a lot of people are switching to Ruby Amethyst, you know, you could potentially play this list, but you have a very hard time against Steel decks, which is obviously something to pay attention to. But, you know, getting top 8 at a Mulligan Challenge event, not bad at all. So congrats to you. So we have the Amethyst Amber here. I have a bunch of 1-drops in my opening hand, so I think that's not bad for a hyper aggro deck. So I at least want to keep some of these 1-drops. We'll keep a little bit of diversity here. We'll keep a Pascal, we'll keep a Lilo, and we'll keep a Maleficent biding her time, and a Fox, so we can bounce one of them back. So we actually drew another Maleficent and a Kita Goons. So Kita Goons don't look like it's doing much right now, so I'm going to go ahead and ink away the Kita Goons and play a Pascal to start my turn off. I don't have a bounce character for turn 2 like a snake, so I want to play Pascal so I can keep questing in case they have a character on turn 1, but they don't because they're playing Sapphire. So if you don't know, you're going to have a very good time playing against Sapphire decks if you're playing an aggro deck. They're playing Sapphire Ruby, so that's kind of good for us because they're not going to have cards anytime soon. We drew another Turnipog Followers, so maybe we can ink that away. And we're probably going to ink that away and play multiple 1-drops because we can, right? We have Maleficent. We're going to play double Maleficent and quest with our Pascal for 1 to start our turn. They draw for turn, they ink a card, they play a Develop Your Brain for 1, and then they play an Ice Block for another. Ice Block doesn't do anything in the early game, and now we can quest for 2, 4, 5 to start our turn off, which is nice. Quest for 1, quest for 2, quest for 2, puts us at 6 already. We can play our Lilo, we can play the Turnibog, and we're just going to ink the Kita Goons again, I believe, because we want to save this Fox to be able to bounce back our Maleficents in case they play a character here on turn 3 or something. But there is no character on turn 3 because they're playing Sapphire. They use Brawl on our Pascal. They could have used it on one of our 2-cost characters, but they didn't. The thing about playing against Sapphire is that there's not many cards they can use to clear the board unless they're playing like Ruby Sapphire and they're using cards specifically like the Queen of Hearts that has Rush. There's not going to be anything in the card pool in the early game to stop you from just questing willy-nilly, right? So Sapphire matchups are pretty easy for hyper aggro decks. Now, if you are playing against Sapphire Steel, you know, some of them are going to be able to use like Tinkerbell, Baboom, Fire the Cannons. I've seen some people play Avalanche as well. And Emerald Steel is going to have a little bit more removal, but for the most part, you're going to be able to use and abuse your 1-cost characters in a deck like this because look how much lore we're gaining. It's barely turn 4. They're barely playing their first character. We're already at 13 lore. We've already presented lethal, and all we have to do is quest for game, and that's how you beat Sapphire decks with a hyper aggro deck. But that is going to be all for this video, my Lorcana Goons. Thanks for sticking around. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this content. Huge shout out to inkdecks.com. That's where you find all these deck lists. They're going to be in the description below, the links so you can find the tournaments and all the other top deck lists that were in these tournaments as well. Shout out to all the players that made top cut at these tournaments and reported it to inkdecks.com. I know it's not easy to do well at tournaments, and good luck to everybody playing your set championships, your next Disney Lorcana challenge. If you are a player who is like non-meta, somebody who's taking the game serious for the first time, it might be your first Disney Lorcana challenge, you know, don't stress yourself out too much. You have what it takes to do it. I believe in you. Believe in yourself. You are a Lorcana Goon, and you can do it the way we all can do it. And I can't wait to see in the comments in the next couple videos how many of you do well at the set championship. So until then, remember to stay tuned to Lorcana Goons, and we'll see you Goons next time.